Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. I'm so excited to have this wonderful group with us, Chapel Hart. Three women who are not only beautiful, but love country music and are just taking the world by storm. I know you already saw them on America's Got Talent. I know you've already heard their answer back to Jolene and that famous song from Dolly Parton. I know you saw the video with ZZ Gibbons, but just in case you haven't, you need to hear who they are and all they're about, because you're about to realize that this is musical dynasty in the making. Welcome, young ladies.
Hi.
I love the energy, is so infectious. So on our show, we kind of like to roll back and just kind of really get some understanding. I know you'll have been in the business for more than a minute, and I wanted to just talk about just sort of that coming together, being from Mississippi, what it was like growing up, and just how you all decided to get into music.
Well, growing up, we're 3 of 108 first cousins. Like, we have a ginormous family. Our grandmother had 17 kids. And I feel like growing up, our life was literally a musical. Like, we get together for family outings, for barbecue, birthdays, divorces, you name it. Right. At some point, somebody's gonna break out a piano or something, and somebody's gonna start singing. So music has literally been a part of our lives for the duration.
Awesome. And then what actually got you all to say, you know what, we're really going to try to make this more formal? I know you started maybe doing a little bit of writing and things like that.
So we started out just kind of busking on Royal Street, and it was truly just like each level was just a stepping stone. We started busking, and then we started playing in small clubs, and then we moved on up and started playing Frenchman Street, Bourbon Street. Then we went to Nashville. So all of it really was just, it was all a stepping stone, but you know, we all just, it was.
It's almost as if, like, while we're on step 1, step 2, and 3 is already being pushed towards us. And it's amazing whenever you have people with the same drive, the same dream to actually make that happen. And so after we were a cover band for a while, we got to a place where we were like, if we're ever going to do what we really want to do, which is country, we were like, this is the time. Like, we have to just jump in and do it. And so that's what we did. And
yeah, we figured we'd write some songs. In worst case, we knew we had a killer cover band show. So if we had to go back, we could at least do that. But something amazing happened. I always tell people, if we had better sense, we probably would have went to Nashville to do country music, but somehow we started in New Orleans. But New Orleans also is the realest people you'll ever come across. So if it's trash, they will tell you it's trash. So we started writing these songs about growing up in Mississippi. And, you know, something amazing for us happened is that they loved them. And we would start making like little small intimate shows, and we would invite some of our friends out to come watch, and they were falling in love with the music. Yeah. And it would always start with, now, I don't like country music, but I like y'all and I like what you're doing. So it just kind of grew from there. We just kind of got in the truck and pressed the gas, and we've been running ever since.
Sure, absolutely. Tell us about that name, Hyperfly. I know you spell it a little bit differently, but sort of how you guys came up with the name and sort of what that was like to kind of maybe do those first few songs when you were releasing under that title.
Well, Lord, when we came up with the name, it was sure, it was kind of in that transition from just being a couple of buskers, and then whenever we got invited to play inside, we were like, well, we
gonna need a
name. And so we were playing in the kitchen in the middle of the night, and Google had a random word generator. So we play a few songs, and then we click a few times, and Hyper popped up, and then a few words later it was Fly, and Danica was like, how about with a PH? And I was like, okay, well, with 2 Y's.
Yeah, so I think it was late, so we were like at the point of like delirium, and so boom, there. And people, I always tell people, they're like, "Tell us about the name," and it's not really that exciting. Google random word generator, but nevertheless, but the music was great.
Right, it's uniquely yours. I've got to make sure we backtrack, and I meant to bring it up the first time when you guys say busking, because I know some people may not know that term. Tell us what that means.
I always say that busking is the truest, purest form of entertainment because it's literally singing on the side of the road. So everyone who stops to listen are heading somewhere else. You are not in their plans, and you stop them during their day. And most of the time they choose to spend like hours with us on the side of the road.
It's a good way to try out your material, because if people stop and they like it and they compliment you and tip you, it means you got something good. If people just keep walking and they don't even bother, they pretend like you're not there, keep writing.
Absolutely. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about Chapel Hart and how you put that name together based on one of the churches in your city.
So like Trea said earlier, we come from a huge family. And so we're all from Poplarville, Mississippi, but there is a community inside of Poplarville called Derby. And inside of Derby, there's Hart's Chapel. And Hart's Chapel
it's like
is
one of those little eggs, like
yes. So Hart's Chapel is a community made up of pretty much a good portion of our family. Our home church is there, Hart's Chapel Baptist Church. The road is named after our grandfather, Ellis Hart Road. And so it
she gonna give somebody address in a minute. She keep preaching so hard.
But yeah, so when we were trying to come up with the name, we were like, well, we want something that's gonna mean something to us.
Right.
And so we were kind of going through names, and then our manager, he was like, well, what about Chapel Hart? And we just kind of laughed.
We did, but also too, I think we were stuck in a place where Hyperfly is really kind of making a name for itself. So we were like, unless we can find something that's like way better than what we've worked up to for this point, then we won't do it. And it has to be something that all three of us 100% agree on. Right. And he said Chapel Hart, and we were like, and I was like, that's ridiculous. But like, it literally was like maybe 24 hours. We slept on it, got back up, we were in the studio. And we were like, wait a minute, like it is who we are, and it's the place that made us who we are. And so all the things, and I think our other manager just started calling us Chapel Hart before we even agreed.
Right.
He was like, I'm working with this group, Chapel Hart. I was like, we didn't even agree yet though. So, but I mean, I think it's safe to say that we all agreed across the board. Yes, vote yes to Chapel Hart.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about relationship, because that's so critical. It's one thing to be related, it's one thing to get along, and it's another to try to actually work together in this business, especially, and to try to move forward with so many things coming at you. We're not trying to have you, share something that's not comfortable, but just talk to us about sort of how you navigate some of those dynamics, because they've always been a challenge, not only for families, but for siblings, and certainly for groups. And will continue to be, just because we're all growing in, different paces, different times, and the way we take things may not be the same. How do you all work through some of those types of things?
Honey, they get on my nerves. Okay,
to be honest.
They get on my last nerve,
But I think that that's the advantage.
They get on my nerves.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the advantage of being a group and being family, because you come across groups of like, people who are like just put together or came together later in life. But the fact that we all grew up with each other, there are like, no holds barred. There are no barriers at all. And it allows a level of honesty that I don't think you can get in a lot of other configurations. Because sometimes, get dressed and you're like, honey, that is ugly.
Right.
Whereas other people would be like, whoa, that's so cute and unique.
Take it off and try again.
But also I think that it definitely has its ups and downs, and it's like both sides of the coin. There's the heads and the tails, and the heads is that I mean, we don't always get along, but we get along most of the time. And also when somebody needs space, we can kind of pick that up even without having to verbalize it. But also on the other side of that coin, like we've got to be accountable for each other. So if somebody's slacking, you got to have that conversation. Look, you need to step it up. And so, but it also does help because we kind of, you know, you can be mean to family. They can take it. They might be mad for a little bit, but they'll be all right.
And Trea always says, if we were to ever break up, we would have to still see each other at the family reunion. So we might as well just stay
How
together.
embarrassing.
Let's work through it now. No, I love it. Your presence is infectious. There aren't that many people that, I wouldn't say you turned them down, but when America's Got Talent called, you're like, So just talk to us about that process, because I mean, it's always amazing to be tracked down by an organization like that, as opposed to so many of the people that are coming, they've sought out the show.
Right. I think it's super exciting because, you know, for somebody to kind of watch just your videos and hear your music and be so inspired that they go like, you guys need to audition for America's Got Talent. We were like, what? Because in the musician community, like those shows have such a bad stigma, and it's like, oh, you go on there and your career's over. Like, so we were just like, no, thank you. We're gonna be touring. We appreciate it. And Lindsay Rush, she called, and she was just so, she was so adamant, but also and as a fan of the music, and she was just like, I listened to your, she like made these like long, like pleading emails, but she was just like, I listened to your music. I'm inspired by your music. The world needs to hear this. Please just audition. And so we were like, so as it all worked out, we were supposed to be out on a week-long tour.
Yes.
And it got canceled, and it freed us up to be able to go and audition. And I always tell people, I guess, thank God we did.
Yes. And so, so I wanted to be able to walk through that, because that was so amazing. I've watched the show many times. I've watched your episode, for what it's worth, 4 times. But I've seen the other show episodes, and I wanted to really just sort of dissect what was happening when you all came on there and made that sort of impassionate plea. Country music doesn't look like us. I just want to sort of tease that apart, because I just think you all embodied it so well, and really just sort of like owned it. And then they came back and were ready for you, and like, well, it needs to change, and it is changing, and you're going to be the face of that change. Just talk to us about sort of those first few moments of dialogue, and we'll get into the performance in a minute.
I think one of the things that it was amazing. Well, I mean, we were shocked by how many times that phrase was interpreted, and kind of like from people hearing it and what they heard and what they got. And but just from us, we genuinely just meant that like country music doesn't look like us, and it didn't necessarily mean like they're not letting Black people in country music. But I think that I tell people we have a different problem, which is that country music kind of has a formula, you know what I mean? Like it has a look, and it has what works. And so they work what works. And so I said, country music doesn't look like us, because you can't name one group almost in any genre, I don't think, where there's a plus size girl, there's a curvy girl, there's a skinny girl, skinny mini. And so, but like, and also
head girl, a big head girl, an even bigger head girl.
That's why we don't let her talk. No, but like all the things, and that we're a trio. And I was telling somebody, even on country music right now, white, Black, green, or brown, there's not a trio charting right now. And
most people in the industry don't even want to touch like trios and groups with a 10-foot pole, because
they're like, oh no,
they're not
gonna. Then we're family.
Right.
Yes.
We're women.
We're 3 women.
Right. Exactly.
And then at the bottom of the list, we are Black. So there is, and I was like, so there was so much to unpack there. And so, you know, and like I said, so in the industry where it has a formula that works, and so they work it, it's hard to come in and go, okay, everything about us is different. Take a chance on us. And so, but we were in Nashville just putting in the work, and one foot in front of the other. So
yeah, and we're going to get to Nashville in a minute. Hearing Howie's comment and some of the types of things that got said, even Simon made some really passionate comments. How did that feel? Just, you know, he said things like, I said, you're gonna change the face. You know, that ceiling is going to be broken through.
Like, I feel like that is like kind of one of like the utmost like heartwarming comments that we could have like received, because you know a lot of people, especially Simon, a lot of people see him as a stickler, as being mean, but it's because he is truly a person who appreciates great music and great songwriting. And of course he has to look at it and judge with that kind of edge and that kind of bias, because he knows what's good. And the fact that the Simon Cowell said that the world needs us right now, it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
No, and it's so funny though, because people are always like, what was Simon really like? And it was like, Simon loved us so much. And even like he would say these kind things to us, and we were still like, all right, so what are you gonna say mean? What are you gonna say mean? But right. he was such an amazing cheerleader for us. And not just for us, but for the songwriting. He just kept expressing like how good the songwriting was, and which was really why we wanted to audition, because we wanted to see people, we wanted people to see that we're writers, we're artists, we're performers, but we're in Mississippi and Louisiana and New Orleans writing these great songs that we want to share with the world. And AGT was such a huge platform to be able to do that.
No, absolutely. It was just so monumentous. And then of course, as I'm sure you all may know the trivia, you all are only like the second group to have, you know, a unanimous verdict like that. How did that feel like during that moment? I mean, I saw the tears. I was trying to hold back my tears, just the whole response, because I watched you all just sort of trying to think like, what are they doing? They were sort of huddling, and then Mr. Cruz came out and it's like, what are they talking about? And the whole audience was moving around and everybody's trying to figure out like what's going on, because it doesn't, you know, everything's always so planned and so symmetrical. It's done, you know.
Look, we were just, like you said, we were completely confused. We had no idea what was happening. We were like, what's about to happen? And we were just, and then once it did happen, it just, everything hit us. It was like, it felt like validation that I wouldn't necessarily was looking for, but it was just sort of a validation that let us know that you are seen and we're on the right path. And so that just really, really just made our hearts so happy. And as you can tell, they cried.
Yes, everybody was like, that reaction just tells it all. It was as genuine as it gets.
Like, I'm pretty sure we went through the whole gamut of emotions, like during that little, I don't even know how, I feel like it lasted maybe 30 seconds or maybe 30 years, because it was like,
Sure. And the audience, I mean, and 2 different times, like I said, I watched it several times and sent it to several people. I mean, mind you, I'll be totally honest, as you all may know, we got notice just a few hours ago you guys would be available. I've been working on this about a month just to set up the interview. But I've still watched it that many times that I also remember there were 2 separate moments that the crowd was asking Golden Buzzer when it first happened, and then when they were debating. I mean, to see that kind of love and that kind of passion coming from the audience who you certainly didn't know and knew you, and they hadn't made calls and they hadn't sent you all emails to be on the show and things like that, also must have been really inspiring. How did that make you feel?
I think that just there's no other feeling. And the amazing, I think the kind of the part that makes the story great is that at that point, to our knowledge, they had given away all of the golden buzzers. They were out of them, and we were just looking for 4 yeses. So the fact that like they were like huddling, it was like, y'all need to talk amongst yourselves, just yes or no. And it was just like waiting, and the suspense was building. And then when Terry went over there, we were like, what in the world is going on? And the crowd is cheering, y'all. It was so loud in there. And so it was like all that love and energy coming from the crowd. The judges are doing something we've never seen before. We're looking at each other like, what's going on? But there was absolutely that moment that the crowd, I feel like the crowd represented America. And that is what we received. And that's what we got back week after week after week. And we could not be more grateful for our new fan base and our fans who, you know, were really born in that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was just, like I said, I will continue to watch it because it's so amazing. I want to now, because we've had such a good setup, sort of drift into the song a bit, which by no means doesn't deserve its due credit, given everything that it helped to represent that day. I love the sass of it. You can have it, you know. I love the video. Just walk us through sort of coming up with some of the words, the idea, thinking about Dolly and the tribute that you guys directly and indirectly give to her, which is so, you know, magnanimous for such young people to even, you know who she is and bring this up.
Well, well, like, as you know, we are all like very, very huge Dolly fans. Yeah. And the idea first came along. We were filming a cover video for 9 to 5. Right. And it was like during quarantine, the place we were staying, for some reason, they let us get free range of their kitchen. So we just had way too much fun. So to all of your viewers, if y'all haven't seen that,
go watch the 9 to 5, which was maybe even an exclusive here, which was going to be the song we were originally going to do. We were going to do 9 to 5 by Dolly.
Oh, yeah. But at the beginning of the video, Dev comes in as a line cook, and she has a shirt that says, "You can have him." Right. Signed Jolene. And like Danica has this like math scientist look that she has every now and then. And she was like, you know what? How are you gonna give something to me that's not even yours? You know what? As a matter of fact, yeah, you can keep him, Jolene.
I had caught a whole attitude. I was like, girl, how you gonna take somebody, man? Like, stop it. And so but like in that moment, we were like, we gotta write that. That's amazing. And one of the most amazing things that I love about this song is from thought process to the completed process, the energy was there, the same energy in the room as we were writing it, with the same that kind of conveyed when we were recording it, and it's the same that came through in the final product,
the video
as well as the visual. And that, I feel like in music that very rarely happens. And that happened with You Can Have Him Jolene. And I think it also resonates with the fans and the fan base. They love it. I mean, just sassiness all over the place.
Yeah, the stage presence, the song, the lyrics, everything. Like that's not enough of a great accomplishment. Working with somebody like ZZ Top, how did that all come together? The video is, I knew immediately when I saw him as the pastor who he was. It has a little bit of comedy in there. It's got the little, stage type of stuff going on, theatrics, and just, it's so much fun. Talk to us a little bit about that whole experience in shooting that.
Well, it kind of started after we wrote Jesus and Alcohol. We went to meet our booking agent in Nashville, and we were like, well, we kind of wrote this song last night while we were holed up in this tiny hotel. And so we played it, and it was Jesus and Alcohol. And then when we finished, it was like a silence, and we're like, oh, okay, maybe it's just a hot mess. And then it's like, don't touch it, don't change it. Like, this song is awesome. And he used to represent ZZ Top, and he knows that Billy Gibbons is the type of guy who just appreciates good music. Yeah. And so he sent him the song. And after he sent him the song, he said, Billy's the kind of guy, you send him a message and then 6 months later he might answer. Yeah, and he said he texts back immediately. He was like, this is the freshest thing I've heard in like over a decade. These girls are amazing. What is this?
I love it.
But by that point, he had not seen us. And so our booking agent sends him a picture and says, hey, this is Chapel Hart. He was like, Billy never answers the phone for any. He was like, he might text you back in 6 months in a riddle, but he doesn't answer the phone. He said, Billy calls him back and was like, you gotta be kidding me. He was like, what is going on? So he tells him a little bit about us. He listens to a couple more songs and he says, listen, if those girls need anything that I can do, let me know. And we are those people you don't say if there's anything I can do. That's like, come over anytime for dinner. Oh, we come. We're coming. So we coming. And so anyways, we told him, and we were like, well, Uncle Billy, we're doing a music video. He was like, if I have nothing else, I'll be there. And the pandemic came, he had nothing else, and he came down to do it. Right. And as you can watch, the rest is history. Yeah,
exactly. The rest is all there. And I wanted to get to that song, Jesus and Alcohol, because obviously the title alone is magnanimous, controversial, full of a lot of information that we need to unpack. So just talk to us about how that came to be, that title and the lyrics and things like that, and putting that all together.
So one night we were in Nashville. It was raining. And
we were little hotel tree.
Yeah, very little hotel. And it was raining. We sent our manager out to go get us some writing materials.
Right.
That's what we call our
AKA beer run.
Yes, we sent on a beer run. And so Danica was in the bathroom. First of all, Danica
is a little weird.
Danica is very weird. She, for whatever reason, she was in the bathroom with a guitar playing Amazing Grace, or attempting.
I was trying to teach myself.
Yeah, trying to teach herself how to play Amazing Grace. And then Trea and I, we were in the room just kind of jotting down some ideas. And so by the time Danica came out, I said, why don't we do a song with an alliteration? Trea was like, okay, good idea. Danica was like, what's an alliteration? And I'm like, like something like Bible, bourbon, breakup, in that vein. And so the lights just started going off, and we kind of just started diving into it. And about 15, 20 minutes later, we had Jesus and Alcohol. And I think that song, that too had a lot of misunderstandings, but we're just very honest people. Mm-hmm. And I think we've all gone through a time in our life where we had a bad breakup and we kind of dealt with it with alcohol and Jesus. And so we decided, we're going to write about it and put our truth in a song. And it just so happened that a lot of people could relate to it. And so the people that got it, they got it.
Exactly. And our show is called Music and Medicine. When you hear those words, because that's sort of a really good transition, because it's so, how should you say it? Some people might find it cacophony to put those two words together, Jesus and alcohol, but certainly something people deal with, turn water into wine. What does that mean to you, those words, music and medicine?
If I guess like when I put those two words together, I think that they go together probably better than you would expect, because I feel like music is medicine. Like music, there's so many things that music can fix and can heal. And just as as my own testimony, like, even when I was younger and in middle school, I was adopted by my uncle. And, for so long, I couldn't find the balance of, I didn't really know where I belong. I didn't really know where I fit in. And so I would always just dive into music, or I'd I'd go to the bathroom and stay in there for like 5 hours. To this day, Mom was like, you need to hurry up in the bathroom. And so, but I would just go and sit and just listen to music, and I would sing. And it really did just kind of start to turn things around for me. And I started kind of putting myself in the song. And, I'd listen to these upbeat songs and up-tempo songs, and I'd dance and sing. And until I got to the place where I was like, whoa, it just felt good. I didn't feel alone. I felt accompanied by the music and the artist and the words. And it helped me struggle kind of with going through loneliness and depression for a little while. And music was the answer for me. So that is what I think about when I think of music and medicine.
And I think to piggyback off of that, sometimes I know for me, whenever I sometimes have a hard time expressing how I'm feeling, and there can be a song that literally is me all over. And whenever I can't find the words for myself, it's like that song heals. It's a healer.
And for me, I don't know, I feel like music has always been the best medicine, as from the mental standpoint, but even like for me, even physiologically, we were in a child's choir whenever we were younger, but there were certain songs, it didn't matter how I was feeling, whenever there's a specific chord change, or there's a specific movement or a change in the tone and the feel, like it affects me, like it physically affected me. And I feel like music does that for a lot of people. And I think that it is I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. It's almost like that unintentional, cortisone shot to your old joints or something. It's like, because sometimes, sometimes you don't even expect it. It can be a song playing in the background, way back in your subconscious. But whenever that happens, whenever there's that shift and that change, your mood may even begin to change before you even realize it, because music, they say it's the universal language, and it really is. And it speaks to not only our ears, it speaks to our hearts, it speaks to our souls. Music
Speaks to your gut.
Mm.
Okay, that was 3 different things.
There you go. No, I love it. I think it's a perfect transition into this type of a concept. You all represent so many barriers that are getting knocked down by who you are, your effervescence, how bubbly you all are, being honest about the things you go through and things like that. Talk to us just a little bit about sort of what you sense that it means to the fans, to young women, to women in general, to constantly attacking sort of male-dominated fields, music genres, businesses, and things like that.
I feel like one of the things that we get a lot from our fans, and one of the things that I really appreciate, especially from our female fans, especially from our younger fans, is that it is possible. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you want to start a new business, start a new career, or just
Start a new relationship.
Start anything. But like, I feel like, and especially like just even looking at us, we're 3 completely different people, but we've been able to like share experiences and share stories from those 3 different perspectives, and making it that much more relatable to other people. And I feel like it makes, you know, the women who are body conscious, like, feel like, okay, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it. Makes the people who like struggle with like mental health issues feel like if they can do it, I can do it. And it kind of like, it just reaches so many people and makes them feel like it is possible. Anything is possible.
Yeah. I think that it's so weird because people are always like, y'all are such role models for, you know, and then but we know that behind the scenes we're like such hot messes. But the one thing that, and I think that you said it, it's the one thing that I absolutely loved, and it was the way that I had to heal, and was just through like truth and authenticity. If I don't understand it, I'll tell you I don't understand it. If it doesn't make me feel good, I'll tell you it doesn't make me feel good. If I'm wrong, I'll tell the folks, look, I was dead wrong. We had a event the other day that, you know, I had to express that, you know, when I was growing up, I was bullied for a little while, but, you know, I know it was done to me, so I just started doing it to other people. And so there was a truth there that I had to tell. And it's like, you know, hurt people. And I was one of those hurt people hurting people. And I think that that's why our fans relate so well, is because it's like, and it's like, and it's, you know, honest. And it's honest and it's relatable. And you know what I mean? And people are always like, don't y'all change. I don't even know what else we can be at this point. So like, what you see is what you get. And you know, people see us on TV, they're like, oh my God, you were so bubbly. And then they see us in real life and we're still that bubbly, but we're way louder in person.
They can turn us down on TV.
I love it. I wanted to use that as a setup to one of those barriers, which is just so recent, National Grand Ole Opry. And I watched that performance today. Talk to us about sort of getting to that stage and sort of what it meant, that climb to there, and just, you know, actually being there and then owning that moment.
Honestly, I still can't believe that it happened. We are just, to have the opportunity to play on the Grand Ole Opry stage is incredible, and we just feel blessed and honored. Once we got there, the energy in the room, oh my God, everybody always talks about, you can feel the spirits of the legends that's played there before. And I feel like that is very true, because there's just an energy in the room that just kind of sends chills down your body. And when we started singing, it was just mind-blowing.
I feel like, you know how people have clickbait? I feel like that's what people do to me when they say, anytime somebody goes to Grand Ole Opry, I'm like, it's like they know. And I've got this picture, and I might post it today. And there's a picture of, I was like, in my mind, I can only see the caption is like, how most people watch the Grand Ole Opry, and it's Devynn Tree, and they're like serenely. And then there's me behind it like, and I was like, oh my God. That's exactly what it looks like. And so even just hearing the words, I remember being like 4 years old, like standing on the bed, pretending I was singing at the Opry to all these people. And my mama comes up, she was like, get your tail out that bed. But like, I was able to be that little girl again at the Opry, seeing myself there and all dressed up and dolled up and standing in the circle. It was just I said in interviews, the Opry was the dream come true for us. It was that dream.
It was, and I feel like it's taught us that we have to learn how to dream bigger, because like you say, 3 little girls from South Mississippi, like it's almost one of those seemingly unattainable dreams. And the fact that we've gotten there, they've invited us back. Right. And we are like, I feel like this past month, this past couple of months, this past year, like everything has, like, just when we think that's okay, it can't get any better than this, it gets better. So I feel like we've got to up our dreaming a little bit.
Yeah. Take it to the next level. On that note, what lies ahead that you can speak to, and what's coming up?
Listen, I just feel like it is a great era for country music, because at the end of the month, September the 30th, we will be
releasing. I'm not gonna break the news.
We will
be brand new.
Love it.
We will be releasing. No, but we're gonna be releasing our brand new single with Darius Rucker called "Old Church Hymn," and we are so excited for people to hear it. So we've got new music coming out. We have got
gonna be hitting the road.
Yes, we're gonna be on the road. We're gonna be back at the Opry.
We've got
we're
all
doing
kinds of things, all kinds of stuff coming, and I'm trying
to put together a summer tour. So y'all check your calendar, check our calendar, and then check your calendar and cancel everything on when we come to your city, because we're so excited to be out there and meeting folks and hugging and saying
kissing
hello,
babies.
shaking hands and kissing babies,
shaking
babies and kissing
hands and shaking babies.
Yes. Somebody was here.
So infectious. You all, I mean, that's what came across even in just those first few moments, and like you all captured so well, whether some of the comments of Simon or Howie or some of the people that you've come across, your enthusiasm, your true desire, the sincerity. It's rare, and that's, I think, why we so appreciate it, because as you all ultimately said, it helps make you relatable with whatever foibles or challenges. That's who we are. We're humans. We're not perfect, but you all share an incredible love of music, a tremendous capacity to come up with words and verses and songs and lyrics that so many people wish they could express. And so when they see it wrapped up in the 3 of you, it just, it melts our hearts. And on that note, I just wanted to at least cover, as we close out, just your family. And sort of just some of their, I told you so, or I know you wouldn't do that, or how are some of those dialogues and conversations gone as your family has seen this ride?
Well, if we're being honest, my mom told me I needed to go back to college.
Okay, let's keep it real.
Yeah, no, but it's crazy though, and I think it's not just us. I think anybody will tell you when you get ready to go off on a venture and you got to step out on that ledge. You'll have so many people, and I don't think they intend to. I think people try to protect you the best way that they can. But the only way that you chase dreams and that you make dreams come true is when you jump off the cliff and free fall. You'll hit some of the branches. I think Steve Harvey said you'll hit some of the branches, you're going to hit some of the rocks. But the only way you know what's down there, the only way you can know if you can soar or fly is if you make the jump. And so, yeah, we didn't really have a whole lot of support in the very beginning. They were like, girl, country music, what do you think you're doing? Girl, ain't nobody going to have you on no regular label. And so, well, and we still not. So, but I told you that.
But I think it also speaks to like the fact that representation does matter, because where else in the world have you seen this happen, especially in country music? Right. So think of it as a mother or as an aunt or uncle who sees their family members going out trying to chase this dream, and like you say, you want to protect them. You don't, it's like, now I love you, but you know that that's not possible, right? Yeah. And
my mama, I wanted to be a pilot, and she was like, girl, them cockpits are small. I don't think that's going to be I said, okay. But she was probably right about that. But nevertheless, but also in their way of protecting us, it also kind of pushed us out to.
Because she was a bad kid, and she was like, oh, I can't watch me.
I was a very bad kid because I'm not a pilot.
Talked a lot.
Yeah.
Talking the same thing you've been saying.
Yep.
The last message for some young boy or girl, they're 6 or 7 years old and they're different than everybody is, and they see you on and so look up to you. What would you have or tell them? And they're interested in music or flying an airplane or doing free fall and things of that nature to stay encouraged in the way that you all have. What's your secret or advice?
That's real good.
Okay, I'm just blessed. Okay, guys. So I think my advice would be to whatever it is that you decide to do, that you want to do it. You know, it's like she said, there's going to be people to tell you you can't or try to convince you otherwise. But if it's in your heart and you really, really, really want to do it, go for it and give it your all and just shoot for the stars.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of that, like, and while you're doing it, even if it doesn't make sense, because I feel like 99% of our career moves, people are like, don't do that, it's career suicide, don't do that, it's not gonna work. If it doesn't make sense financially, geographically, like logistically, like mentally, go for it, just go for it. And you will be surprised at the people like God will throw into your life who sometimes believe in the dream more than you do. And it's very necessary, because if you believe and you follow that dream, whenever you get down, you'll like build that team of people to help get you going through those low points. And so, yeah, just don't stop.
Listen here, Sharon. Sharon, listen here. Listen, the biggest flex that you will ever have in your entire life is that there is only one you. That's your only job, is just be you. Figure out what makes you happy. Figure out the things that bring you joy and delight yourself in those things. And because those are the things that turn out to be your medicine when the entire world is against you. You got to be able to hang out with yourself and go, you know what, I'm gonna have a good time regardless. So figure out the things that make you happy and delight in those, because there is not another you in the entire world, and that nobody else can take.
Unless you're
just
twin.
be you.
Yeah, unless you're
Well, if you're a twin, it ain't quite just you. It's close to you, but they still not you.
There is one y'all.
when y'all.
Well,
And
twin, sorry to kill it for you, but no.
We went this kind of church. I got to pinch myself because I feel like we are in the chapel. You all are so wonderful. Like I said, just so infectious, so positive. And I know there's times where you're like, they don't want to see this right now because we're gonna throw some shade or hate or whatever. But it just so comes across. And like you all said, it's keeping it real, keeping it relatable, but also being inspiring. I think that it's harder these days for people to constantly find that if they don't seek, because sometimes they may be let down by this role model or surprised that this person did that. And so finding, young, energetic, optimistic, and positive people who, like you said, are breaking down barriers and walls every day, taking amazing strides forward, just makes us so happy to even just be having a little bit part of the fun and humor and positivity. Thank you all so much for your time, your love, the fights, the squabbles, the music, the lyrics. It's just been so enjoyable just to even be able to take this ride. So we appreciate all that you all are doing to stay together and to fight through all those different hotel rooms and logistics.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Management and all the things that it takes to kind of give so much of yourselves. We so appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you for
Right.
having us.
And thank you for jumping into all of our madness and cahootness. But also you just have to promise us one thing, that soon you'll have us back and we'll chat again, okay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Exactly, sure. And we'll do the full studio tour when you guys are in California. So I'd love to.
We are looking forward to it.
I promise. Thanks again so much for your time. Have a great evening. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis.